Hello, boys and girls. This is the Bread Boy. And there's cause to celebrate, because tomorrow Kido is finally getting a song. A real song. Not to disrespect Mikakushi Code or anything, but in terms of the portion of the narrative that's told through the music, I always thought that Kido was always kind of shortchanged. So let's talk about Kido. Let's talk about this fantastic character that's really a testament to the themes and the power of the story. Kido, while generally accepted and valued, is such an easily misunderstood character in the project. The cause for this is actually pretty simple. She's the only member of the cast that doesn't really have a character song. Mekakushi Code is a bop, I'll give it that, but it doesn't go the whole way to say a lot about Kido's character. You learn a bit about her eye ability as well as the fact that she's a geek, and in some way or another, she's the leader. But nothing about her inner personality or her struggles are really delved into. And throughout the rest of the songs, Kido doesn't really ever play much of a big role. Instead, she just kinda acts cool, and her only real interactions are with Momo, in which she's placed in a supporting light, and while their relationship is amazing, it's not so much because of the songs. Kido, like Haruka, gets most of her intrigue and development through the manga, anime, and especially in the novels. But even then, Kido kinda gets shortchanged, as most of her intrigue and nearly all of her backstories come exclusively in the novels. At least Haruka gets some play in the manga and Mekaku City actors. Kido is so multifaceted. She's kind, but she's anxious. She loves her family and would do anything to help them. She's excitable and wide-eyed. No pun intended. Part of what makes Kido so interesting is just how much we get to see her develop. Throughout the novels, we have this intimate understanding of Kido and her character, from all the way before her father went psycho to all the way to Summertime Record. In this way, we get to see something that I appreciate in fiction, and that's when stories get to sequence different character arcs. You see it in Simone and Gurren Lagann, where he goes through two distinct character arcs in the two halves of the show. You also get to see it in Amamiya and the wonderful manga Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. Everyone go read it. And with Kido, you get to see this throughout so many stages of her growth. You see her open up to living in this rigid household without parental love, only for it to be shattered apart. You get to see her gain that parental love in Kenjiro and Ayaka, only for her to lose Ayaka. Not to mention how she lost her sister twice, once in Rin and again in Ayano. In the manga's current timeline, you even get to see her develop that sort of sisterly connection with Mary. With Kido, it seems that everything is one step forward and two steps back. When she opens up to Rin, her father goes nuts and kills her and burns the house down. When she gains that family that she always wanted, her mom dies, and then her sister kills herself. And in the end, she is able to form and gather the Mekakushidan, only for the repeating tragedy to always snatch it away. Because of this, it's really interesting to see in which ways Kido grows and in which ways she regresses over time. After losing Rin, Kido's angry. She's miserable and kind of a bully to Kano and Seto in the orphanage. Even when she's adopted along with the other two, she's still standoffish and aloof. But still, she grows to really love that new family. Like I said, it's really the first time she gets to have a family. You have to understand, though, that what we see and understand of Kido in these years is very much through a lens. We see her be mean to Kano and be this sassy little girl, but that's really an expression of how comfortable she is in her new household. Something to always keep in mind with Kido is that she is anxious, and that she is not comfortable in the outside world. We see this at the cultural festival when she's interacting with Hakane and Haruka. At that point, Kido is completely opened up to the Tatayamas, but she is barely even functional in society at large. Of course, none of this is helped by the next big turning point in her life being Ayano's death. We don't get a lot of insight into how Kido specifically felt about the events. We do, however, learn that the Mekakushi trio really did feel guilty about the way the Tateyama house slowly collapsed, and left of their own volition. Well, in everything but the current manga timeline anyways. That thing's its whole other ball of worms. This is an important turning point, though, because it marks the start of the Mekakushidan and the new arc that Kido is going to go through. I talked a bit in my Kagero video about how the Mekakushi trio inherited the goodwill and desires to be heroes that Ayano instilled in them. For Seto, you see it in his interactions with Mary, and how he's the one that keeps working and pays the rent for the place. Kano has his obvious burdens as well, working with the wide-eyed snake to keep his family safe. For Kido, it isn't as clear, but I think it's still there and is a crucial part of her character at large. The role of leader may have been something that Kano thrust upon her, but it's something that she takes seriously. She welcomes Mary into the fold, she cooks for everyone and takes care of them. That very motherly side of her is something that you only really get to see in the novel, but is very important in characterizing Kido as a whole. Even more important than that, though, is her role in the plot at large. In the novels, it really is just Kido and Shintaro that are actually doing anything to advance the story. Everyone else is just kind of developing in their own ways and goofing off until they all come together in the end. But Operation Conquer the Kagero Days is strictly the idea of Kido and Shintaro. It's Kido that's spearheading this ridiculous plan to challenge fate and to retake everything that everyone lost. Because Kido really cares about everyone. I think more so than any of the other members of the Mekakushidan, you really get the sense that Kido cares about everyone, every single one of them, even the new guys. That's how she carries on Ayano's goodwill. And obviously you see this more in some cases than in others. I think the most important interaction Kido has with anyone in this regard is how she interacts with Momo. A lot of the characters have someone who can be directly tied to them, either as someone who helped them out of the dark or someone who they themselves help out of the dark. And for Kido, that person is undoubtedly Momo Kisaragi. The two complete each other so thoroughly, and their relationship is so important to the both of them. For Momo, Kido offers a place to be comfortable with, one where she doesn't have to put on airs, and gives her the sort of resolve that Momo had been lacking, where Momo's brightness and energy make up for Kido's anxieties. She still has those, mind you. And it's really important that Kido is the one that brings Momo in. Because after all, Seto brings in Mary, and Kano is the one who sort of jumpstarts the Mekakushidan to begin with. So Kido is missing that sort of personal tie-in until she forms this connection with Momo. Where she ends up by the end, how she really is the leader that she was only pretending to be for so long, really is inspiring. Especially considering the fact that Kido, without question, has been through the worst in terms of her backstory. This is something that's only really in the novels, like I said. Kido's blood mother dies, and she is taken to live in this big old house with her dad, who shows her no affection whatsoever. After an arc in which she slowly grows to love her sister Rin, Kido basically gets locked in her basement along with her sister. Then her father comes down covered in blood from just having killed all of the family servants, and proceeds to eventually kill Rin. His goal was to take Kido and start a new life, so to speak, but the guy's clearly lost it. In the end, Kido literally kills her father. But at that point, it's already too late for her. The house is burning down, Rin is dying, and of course, as we know, Kido gets caught in there too. It's really brutal. She meets Azumi in the Kagero Days, and Azumi teaches Kido to use her power just so she can help her forget those awful memories. She's so scared of the world after that. She's so cut off, but still grows to be this kind-hearted person who would go to all these lengths in order to take back the things everyone lost, and to give all the kids a place where they don't have to feel strange. And Kido isn't an archetypical character. She seems at first like she's going to be the serious and standoffish one who has a cute side to her. But you very quickly learn that that really isn't true. She gives everyone a place to sleep and cooks them all breakfast while smiling like an idiot. She seems so serious, but then gets really excited about naming things. One of my favorite Kido moments is when she's trying to explain to Shintaro why the name she made up for the other world, the Kagero Days. Kido is the one that named it, by the way. Well, she might just be subconsciously remembering that Azumi told her the name, but for all practical purposes, she's the one that names it. And, yeah, so she's trying to tell Shintaro that this name she made up is just so great, and she just keeps going on and on about how it's so metaphoric and so beautiful, and Shintaro just doesn't care. But she's so earnest and excited. In the manga, she gets super depressed when Momo doesn't want her to join the Mekakushidan, and she really is just so endearing, in a way that doesn't fit into any sort of archetype. I don't look at Kido and think, this is an anime character. She is this kind of person. It's part of what makes the Kagero project so refreshing. Kido is so impressive because she keeps going on despite the hand that she keeps being dealt in life. She loses her mother. She loses her sister. She loses her new mother. And she loses her new sister. But every time she keeps going, and by the end she is a hero. Ayano is just saintly. She's just this perfect ball of inspiration from the second she popped out of the womb. But Kido really has to grow into being a hero. She really adopted it from Ayano after Ayano had to leave. She even says in Mekaku City Actors that her masculine way of speaking is her trying to steel herself. It's her way of trying to force herself to be strong. That's really the thing with Kido. Her strength doesn't come to her effortlessly. She's kind, but still has a lot of social anxiety. She has to push herself to be the leader that everyone wants her to be. But at the end of the day, she still is. So yeah, Kido's great. And she isn't even my favorite character. There's not a whole lot about Kido that I personally relate to in the way that I relate to Shintaro Otakane, but Kido is just so well constructed in such a meaningful way. I really hope her song gets her some of the appreciation that I feel she just doesn't get enough of. Here's to you, Dancho. You are fantastic.